All right, when you picture a pro wrestler, what comes to mind? Probably a giant, right? But today, we're going to break down the blueprint of a guy who was, well, not that. He wasn't the biggest, definitely not the most jacked, but his sheer intensity could blow the roof off an arena. We're talking, of course, about CM Punk and how he built a body to go toe-to-toe with Titans and shatter every single expectation. And this quote, this really is the key to everything about the guy. Think about it. He was always doubted. People saw him as too small, too skinny, just too different. But here's the thing, that wasn't a weakness for him. Oh no, it became the rocket fuel for his entire philosophy, inside that ring and outside of it. I mean, just look at the world he was stepping into. On one side, you've got these absolute monsters, titans of the industry. And then on the other side, you've got CM Punk. The size difference is just, wow, it's stark. So the question is, how in the world do you compete with that? Well, the answer wasn't to try and bulk up and become a giant himself. Nope, it was to become something else entirely. So he went a totally different route. He looked at his leaner frame, and instead of seeing it as a problem to fix, he decided to make it a weapon. His whole training philosophy was never ever about just getting big for the sake of getting big. It was all about crafting a body that was lightning fast, incredibly resilient, and could simply outwork and outlast anybody. Okay, let's really dig into the core concept here, functional strength. This is the absolute bedrock of his entire training regimen. We're not talking about packing on muscle just to look good in the mirror. This is all about what that muscle can actually do. Can it make you faster? Can it help you survive a grueling 30-minute match? Can you stay on your feet when a bigger guy tries to throw you around? That was the only question that mattered. So what did that foundation look like? It was simple, really, but absolutely brutal. We're talking about the classic compound lifts. These were his bread and butter. Now, he wasn't in there trying to set world powerlifting records. Not at all. He was obsessed with perfect form, building real-world strength that he could actually use in the ring. You see, every single one of these exercises hits multiple muscle groups at once, creating a powerful, connected machine, not just a bunch of isolated show muscles. But look, being strong is great and all, but it's pretty useless if you're completely gassed after 5 minutes, right? So the next piece of the puzzle was all about building what I like to call the warrior's engine. This was the relentless, nonstop conditioning that let him keep up an insane pace long after his bigger, stronger opponents started to fade. And let me tell you, this wasn't some casual trip to the gym. This was a pure, unfiltered grind. Just try to picture this circuit. You're banging out push-ups, then you immediately grab a kettlebell for swings, then you drop for burpees, then it's explosive box jumps, and you finish with battle ropes. All of it back to back with almost no rest. Your heart is just pounding out of your chest, and you have to dig deep and fight through that burn. That is how you forge a gas tank that just never, ever runs empty. His cardio was super strategic too. It wasn't just one thing. He had 2 pillars. First, he'd build that deep endurance base with long-distance runs. But then, he'd sharpen that endurance with high-intensity interval training, or HIIT. Think about those all-out sprints, whether on a track, a bike, whatever. They're designed to perfectly mimic the pace of a real fight. A huge burst of energy, then a quick recovery, then go again. It's that 1-2 punch that builds a truly elite level of stamina. And here's something you cannot forget. None of this works without a rock-solid core. For any fighter, I mean any athlete, your core is everything. It's the center of your power, your stability. For Punk, dedicated core work wasn't just an afterthought. It was a non-negotiable part of his daily routine. Why? Because a strong core means you hit harder, and you're held a lot harder to knock off your feet. Simple as that. Okay, so we've covered the body, but honestly, that's only half the story. The real secret weapon? It was all in his head. It was his mindset. You see, his discipline didn't just switch on for an hour in the gym and then switch off. It was a 24/7 all-in commitment. And this, right here, this was it. Every single rep, every single sprint, every drill, it was all fueled by this burning desire to prove every single doubter wrong. He literally took all that doubt and weaponized it, turning it into pure motivation. That's the kind of mental fire that takes a regular workout and turns it into something else entirely. Yeah, and that number is such a powerful reminder of this. Real success isn't built in that single hour you spend in the gym. It's forged in the other 23 hours of the day. For a guy like Punk, discipline wasn't just a schedule you follow. It was a full-time job. And you can see that 24/7 discipline perfectly in his straight-edge lifestyle. And you gotta understand, this wasn't just some gimmick for a t-shirt. It was a massive athletic advantage. Think about it. By cutting out alcohol, drugs, and tobacco completely, he was optimizing his body not just for peak performance, but for something just as crucial: faster, better recovery. All right, so we've taken his methods apart, piece by piece. Now, the real question is, what's in it for you? What can you actually take away from all this? How do you apply this underdog blueprint to your own life, even if you have zero plans of ever stepping inside a wrestling ring? You know, it really just boils down to these 4 key principles. Number 1, focus on strength you can actually use in your life. Number 2, build an engine that just refuses to quit. 3, never ever skip your core work. And number 4, and this might be the most important, find that inner drive. Find that chip on your shoulder and use it as fuel when things get tough. And if there's one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this: the people who make real, lasting transformations, they aren't always the ones with the best genetics. They're the ones who just show up consistently, day in, day out, especially on the days they don't feel like it. CM Punk always showed up, and he's living proof that pure discipline and consistency will beat raw talent every single time. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. CM Punk's blueprint, it's not really just about building a body. It's about forging a mindset that simply refuses to quit. So you have to ask yourself, are you going to stay on the sidelines, or are you ready to step up and fight for what you want? The blueprint is right here in front of you. The next move, well, that's up to you.